Hi everyone, welcome back to Hack the Platform channel. In this series, we're building code apps with AI using tools like Claude Code, GitHub Copilot and the Power Platform toolchain. Certainly, you can explore the vibe coding in Power Apps and do everything there, but I would like to show you how to do this with the Claude Code and GitHub Copilot. In part 1, we prepared already our development environment. We installed our prerequisites, including Claude Code, GitHub Copilot, and certainly the Power Platform plugin. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe. So let's get started. We will be mainly working in our command line interface. And before we do anything, let's quickly check if we're running the correct version of Node. We need minimum 20 seconds. I think the 25th already the stable one. You can download and install it, but I will keep the 20 seconds. So what we're building, remember, we're building a customer support assistant, some simple app. For now, the goal is pretty much simple: scaffold the app, get the project structure, and prepare everything for the next steps. We're not focusing on features yet, just getting a solid starting point. Later on, we will add connectors and Dataverse and flows and much more. Okay. In this video series, I will be building everything with Claude. However, the same pretty much procedure is with the GitHub Copilot. You could likely see also the request or prompt asking if you trust this folder. I already trusted it before. So if yes, please say yes, approve it. Without that, Claude won't be able to create files or modify your project properly. Last time, I showed you the different commands here. So they create the code app, for example, for the code apps preview, which will create Power Apps code apps. Certainly, we can use the Microsoft documentation that everything is described here. In order to create an app, we need, for example, authenticate on the Power Platform command line interface, and then scaffold the app here, PPAC code init, for example, and so on and so forth. So a lot of things that we can do. The cool thing is that everything that we will do here, create code app and all other commands, they will be processed automatically by Claude Code. So we don't need to run all these commands separately, and then you will see how that all works. Okay, let's then start. Claude Code checking different memory banks, different instructions. Actually, I might have even more there written than needed, but I just prepared a prompt, more or less detailed description of an app. Again, I did not prepare it myself. I asked Copilot to generate this for me. A bit of a screen structure, what it needs to be prepared, a full screen ticket overlay, for example. So everything that you can see here is available on the GitHub repo, Code Apps Customer Support Assistant. The link will be in the description to this video. You see that the Claude Code also tries to connect to the environments. The problem is that there are no profiles were found on this computer. Now it will run a Power Platform command line interface to connect to the environment. And this command, create a code app, is so powerful that it will connect to the environment. It will get the context of the environment. If later on we want to connect the Dataverse or some connections, it will also connect to the environments and grab all these connections, different tables, and so on and so forth. So a cool thing. And here you can see how it all works. So we got our first question where we want the app to be created into project root or maybe into a new app subfolder. Let's create a new app subfolder. Scaffold minimal URL shell recommended. Yes, that's exactly what we need. Dark theme, let it be dark theme. Authentication, I'll run PPAC auth create myself, use system credentials, no profile, type something. Let the Claude Code run the PPAC auth, create, and start the authentication. And then connect to the environment that we need. Another request. That is our plan. So context, this is part 1 of the customer support assistant video series, and so on and so forth. User decision, location, Node.js, some other things, initialize pack code, build minimum UI and shell. So tell Claude what to change. I can actually say, hey, you know what? I want to use this. Now the Claude regenerated the plan because I provided a bit more than just a simple app. I created a lot of things there. This is our app structure. Then information about styles that needs to be implemented, mock data and key formulas. I asked Claude to provide also the information about some customers, some mock data, navigation logic, and then a number of things to connect to. What I want also to ask, connect to the environment code apps. So plan approved. First, I needed to authenticate with Power Platform command line interface. No profiles were found. I just wanted to demonstrate how the authentication part works here. If you want to run a command here, we need to run this with the exclamation mark. So meanwhile, the wrong profile was created, the wrong environment, authentication profile with the wrong environment, and it will be changed. As you can see, there was the list of environment was queried here. Yeah. And then I can click Control O. So this is a list of my different environments. And then the environment was found. And now the current environment, the code apps environment, will be set as the default. And I will start with the scaffolding the app. So as you can see, there is a number of commands that are run. The same commands actually that we've seen in the Microsoft documentation. I want to proceed. Yes. Now, what happens during the scaffolding? So it will take a few minutes. Behind the scenes, the tool is generating React and TypeScript and Vite projects. It will install all the dependencies, setting up code app configuration, and preparing the app for Power Platform integration. So this is not just a basic front-end app, it's much more. And at the end, when everything generates, we should have a working project structure, React, TypeScript, and Vite setup, code app configuration ready, which can directly be deployed to the Power Platform environment. So let's wait for a couple of minutes and then proceed. The nice part is that if there is any error appears, we see how then the Claude Code also fixes it. For example, here the problem was that the environment was with this E argument was passed, so there's a unknown argument. It will run in a couple of commands. We'll see how to run it correctly and we'll rerun it. So right now we see it's not -E, it's -- environment. Nice. Something we should not forget. Before we are able to deploy to this code apps environment, we actually should allow the code apps in these environments. This we can do inside the environment settings, opening the code apps environment, going to its features, and then we need to search for code apps where we can allow the code apps. We need to turn it on. Then we will be able to deploy code apps onto this environment. We quickly can see what's being generated. There is a lot of things generated here, different assets, source code. Yeah, so meanwhile, it's just the scaffolded app. However, much more will be generated here. Yeah, so all our components, all our different views and so on and so forth. So meanwhile, it's just a dummy app, an empty one, and then it will be extended. The app was already pushed to the production environment. Let's see, let's check. Customer support assistant, something is there. If we run the app, we should see some empty template, Vite React. This is the template which we receive when we just simply initialize the app. So there is some interactions here, but it's already there and it's working. Let's wait and see what we'll get in the end. The cool part is that the app is almost ready. Claude tried to build it. There are some errors. It understood the errors and started fixing them. And now he'll fix all the errors. And when the app can be built, we can actually run it locally or also deploy it to the Power Platform environment. Okay, we built the app. It succeeded. We're ready to deploy the full UI prototype to Code Apps. This will replace the baseline deployment with the complete app. Or before we actually deploy, let's say I want to test first app locally without deploying it. And the app eventually loaded. We can see that it's customer support assistant with some different UIs, support agent, manager. I can simply on the support agent, I can click somewhere, the Power BI dashboard. Yes, certainly this is a mockup data, but we will be replacing this mockup data with some data from the Dataverse. Okay, now we liked it. We say deploy. Everything was deployed, and what's happening right now, the memory bank is being updated. That's a cool feature of Claude Code. However, you can also create the instructions for GitHub Copilot to do that. More videos on the YouTube, they will explain how to play around with that. I'm not that the professional there. And that's what's happening in the memory bank. That's what's being updated. So basically, Claude writes everything what has happened. And if I close this session and start the session again, the Claude will know from the memory bank, okay, where to proceed and how to proceed. Yeah. So the app should be already there. Let's check this out. This is the old version. Remember, there is always this refresh button and it will load the new version of the app. So it's already deployed to the Power Platform Code Apps environment. What I also like to add actually before we come to an end, what we see here is, for example, it's version 1.0.0. And sometimes it's not that clear which version I deployed, which is there. So what I like to do, I like to tell Claude or GitHub Copilot, so I always like to update the instruction to iterate always the patch and the version number, the third digit when I deploy the app to the Power Platform environment, and display the new version next to the app name in the header. So it will quickly change, in our case, the Claude MD. However, I could also say to update it also in the GitHub Copilot instructions. Oh, I already used 94% of my session limit, but I hope that should be enough. The rule is now the Claude Code here, and let's say deploy again. Next deploy will be 101. So this version should be updated. And as soon as I deploy it, yes, I want to proceed. And as soon as I deploy, I should see the new version appearing here. So it is 100. Okay. So it was deployed. Now let's check this again. Let's refresh. And we see already 101. Every time I deploy, I will see the new version here so that I knew, okay, now my latest version, my latest deployment is there. So I can compare that the version here to the version that I see also here, that which one is deployed. And this is it pretty much for part 2. What we did. Okay, we checked the node version, we started Claude, we used create code app command, verified the environment, connected with the Power Platform command line interface. Then the Claude for us scaffolded the app. Actually, not just scaffolded, but created the, satisfied all our requirements, met all the requirements, they're there. And we updated the memory bank, save the state. So now we are ready to start extending it. And in the next video, we'll switch to GitHub Copilot and start adding connectors. So make sure you subscribe and see you in part 3. Now let's move on to the app itself.